I'd like to call the May 20, 2014 State of the Town address. I'd like to open up the meeting at 7:05. Please stand for Pledge Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody, and thanks for coming to our third annual Princetown State of the Town address. First, I'd still like to consider this an honor to you guys allow me the privilege to serve as the town supervisor. The journey continues to be a huge learning experience for myself on numerous levels. I have worked hard, and I will continue to work hard for the town and to maintain the confidence that the residents of the town have invested in me. My goal is to preserve the investment, preserve your investment, and along with the quality of life in Princetown. And whether that means clean and accessible water, rights to your land to use as you want, to be part of a thriving community. It's a great town and it's a diverse town. I think it's critical that I try to focus the town on moving forward, laying the direction, the vision for the next 5 years. I think it is critical that the vision and the direction represent the majority of the town. As the town supervisor, I think my role is a facilitator. I'm more like the captain of a large ship. The town tells me which direction to point the ship in and what point on the compass that we want to head towards. It is my job then to take the ship, turn it around, and point it in that direction and move it ahead at full steam while running the operations of the ship on a daily basis. Again, with looking out for, for weather, obstacles on the horizon. That's how I see my job. You guys, the residents of the town, the majority of the town, tell us which direction we want to go in, and I move the boat that way. I have some critics that say I push too hard, I'm trying to get too much done, I'm asking too much. To the example of the ship, in the past decade or so, it seems we're a little bit of a drift. We've sprung a few leaks, needed some repairs. A lot of actions were taken to get the ship moving forward again and pointed in a direction. We really had some limited time to catch up on this, and we have made some significant strides in those directions. Not just in policies and procedures, but in the financials. And really, this is what the direction is about, and this is what this presentation is about, is where we've come from, where we are today, and where hopefully we'll be going here in the near future. Some of the mission statements, and these are the same mission statements we had for the last 2 years. Last 2 years, sorry, so third. Make Princetown a more open and transparent government. Take time to highlight and explain the town board's actions. Make Princetown government more efficient and responsive to the residents, and provide information to the Princetown residents and allow a feedback mechanism for residents to engage government. On the open and transparency, it's like a double-edged sword. Although it seems like there's more issues out in the public and in the press, it may seem that way because we are trying to be as open and transparent as possible. I know some residents are sensitive to the fact that we're in the press, and I feel their pain. Trust me, I personally feel their pain. But I think it's critically important that the data is out in the public so we can all understand what the actions are and what's going on with the board. So again, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there. I'd rather have the data out than behind closed curtains. To the second bullet, to highlight and explain town board actions. Rumor has it that some of my town board meetings may be a little bit long. Maybe Bob can attest to that. But I think it's very important that myself and the board explain exactly what we're doing every time we're meeting, with the as a government. Some of them take some time to explain, but in my opinion, this is democracy at work. The town board explaining what we're doing. We're a small enough town that we should be able to communicate and take the extra hour, once a month to communicate what exactly we're doing, what the reasons are, what the logic is. But I think it's critically important that we take these actions. So tonight's agenda, we review the Princetown team. I'd like to touch on our town. 2013 fiscal review. I'm going to try to be a little bit briefer than I have in the past. I think we all kind of understand what the town board's looking at, what I'm watching. But we'll touch on the high spots, and I do have some backups. I'd like to take a few minutes of your time to review the 2013-2014 actions that we had done in that past year. I'd also like to take some time to focus on 2014-2015 focus and goals, and then we can wrap up. Hopefully at the end, if you guys can save your questions till the end, that would be great. The town board, you know most of this, so I want to introduce Doug Gray again. Most of you guys know Doug Gray, but if you're not, Doug's new to the council this year, so welcome, Doug. The town attorneys, Mike Quaves, Jeff Baker. Mike actually had some surgery today, so he's unable to make it, but we wish him the best. Mike's been a key member of our team. The town clerk, the new town clerk, is Sandy Fortune, and her new deputy clerk, Mary Sue Reed. Highways, again, Mr. Nick Moore Sr. Our new justice, Judge Norm Miller, and his new town clerk, Rebecca Sheehan. The water department, again, with our water commissioner leading the way, George Mead, the bookkeeper, Isla Mead, and then Jean and Louis St. Lamar. The assessor's office, again, led by Paul Denninger and Isla. The town historian, Irma Mestrione. The U.S. Mail, Lawns, and Building Support. Your charts, to my apologies to Harry and Nora, actually I'd forgotten about them, so it's not on your charts, but when I publish the presentation to the website, it'll be included. But anyway, so we Denise Teets, Harry Lowley on the lawns, and then Nora on the building support. Our new planner is Laura Savage. We've met Laura. Our code enforcement officer is open at the moment. Dog control, again, Dara Gulata. Our planning board led by Pat Bishop. I do want to take 1 second, if you guys hadn't understood or heard. Pat Bishop was given the 2014 Outstanding Board Chairperson. She was presented as in all upstate New York, or all of New York State, by the New York State Planning Federation. So quite an achievement by Pat Bishop. And then the zoning board led by Vic Benson. So the new people on the zoning board, Tim Bishop and Pat Mooney. The Board of Assessment Review, again led by Paul Denninger. The Princetown or PAC Committee, led by Carl Barta. The Ethics Board, led by Bill Little. We do have Mary Sheen, who's jumped in to give us a hand on the Ethics Board. I do want to take a second to thank the Ethics Board for taking the time to relook at the ethics policy and submit it as part of the ECO. So thanks to Bill, Mary, and Joe. Mary Sue leading the Civics Committee. I hope I got everybody. I know your team keeps expanding, which is all good news. It's great. And then the Zoning Review Committee. I want to take a second to stop and acknowledge Paul Golding. I was hoping he'd be here tonight, and maybe he's on his way. But this is a critical committee. As you know, Paul, when he was chair of the comprehensive plan, we finished the comprehensive plan in the November timeframe, and then, passed it. So now the comprehensive plan is part of Princetown. The next step in this phase, or this process, is to establish the zoning review committee, which has been established, and this is the committee. Again, Paul Golden leading the committee. It's their job to take the information from the comprehensive plan and look at our zoning laws and update our zoning laws to reflect the changes in the comprehensive plan. So, for example, right now they're visiting the town center and hamlet, which would be part of the gateways into the town, particularly out front here and then on Route 7. They've made some site visits, so they're moving along pretty well on defining our town center and our hamlet. So it's a great team, a great committee. I've spoke with Paul numerous times. They're very open to input. It is a committee, but Paul's been very open to input. As a matter of fact, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago where we reviewed some current zoning that we're trying to update as part of the general code, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But it was a combination of the planning board, the zoning board, and the ZRC committee. So this is so important, I think, that this is true democracy at work, that we have such a diverse committees, diverse people on all the committees looking at our laws. To myself, that is true democracy in a small town. As many people and as a diverse committee, as diverse people as we can, contributing to the development of our laws. And finally, just to wrap up and move on, is the ZRC, once they've completed their work, they submit the changes to the board, hopefully the board approves them, and we move on. It's actually an evergreen process. So what should happen is the ZRC, once they complete their job, they hand it to the board, we move on. Within the next year, we should really reestablish the comprehensive committee again. And again, the process starts to go evergreen. We start looking, a new comprehensive committee starts looking at our comprehensive plan and making updates. Again, a couple of years doing that, and then we reform the ZRC. So it should be an evergreen process. So I want to thank Paul and everybody. We did bring on some consultants for the year. These are temporary positions, but as a planning consultant, we've employed Heather Erwiller, and as an operations consultant, Loretta Coolin. I'll touch base on some of their initiatives a little bit further along. 2 points, the acting town justices, I did put that in there. As you know, we're transitioning now. Judge Miller is in his learning process and hopefully will be certified very soon. But in the meantime, we do have 2 town justices from Rotterdam who are willing and apt and helping the town. So from a court's perspective, we have not missed a beat. Court has kept going. Everything is moving well and fine. One point as part of reviewing the whole Princetown team is that although we may be a small town, it actually takes a lot of people to keep Princetown running. I really want to take the time to thank each and every person that was on the list, maybe some of the people that I may have not said or mentioned, but this is the democracy of Princetown. These people, whether it's staff, committees, volunteers, they all contribute to this program that we call Princetown government. And it's really that a lot of these volunteers, people on the boards, the board members, councilmen are actually have a great deal of talent and are actually expertise in their field. So when they come to these committees, again, it's a great input from some very diverse people. And again, just to go back to the democracy piece, this is democracy in action. Using a diverse team with diverse backgrounds, expertise in their fields, contributing to the town. So, as I was preparing the presentation for this year, I wanted to try to understand, what our town is made up of. So, a couple of fun facts for the residents. So, just age distribution. Sorry. This is based on the 2010 census. 2010, we had a total of 2,115 residents. As you can see, the majority are between 20 and 60, a little over 56%. So, again, just just some fun facts for the town. In comparison to the towns around us, Rotterdam on the 2010 census was at 29,000. Dwaynesburg was at 6,100, probably 3 times the size of us. Glenville's at 29,000. Town of Florida was 26, almost 2,700, about 20% larger than we are. So, in case anybody asks what the age distribution in Princetown is, we know what it was as of 2010. Excuse me for a second. So, 2011 Princetown, the land use. We, again, just looking to see how the town in Princetown is broken up a little bit. 56% of it is residential. We got about 31% vacant land, 5% agricultural, and then the remaining 8% or so in smaller pieces there. I think one of the things where you can recognize out of this chart, although it's not definitive, but it is recognizable, is that we're moving from a farming community to a bedroom community. Go ahead. So we start looking at, again, some additional fun facts. The parcels in Princetown. So we broke it up from 1 to 4 acres, 5 to 19, 20 to 49, 50 to 100, and then parcels greater than 100%. So one of the things that kind of sticks out for myself anyway is that between the 1 and 4, let's say 1 and 20 acre plots, which is about 87% of the town, are basically residential parcels. We still have some large landowners and large plots, but again, you can see that I think overall this community is moving from a rural to a bedroom type community. Okay. I'll take a few minutes again to review the 2013 financials. Quick agenda there. Yeah. Go ahead. So, town board objectives. What does financial stewardship mean to the town? For myself, and I'm hopefully the board, it means we're constantly looking at the financials of the town. Reducing spending, looking to increase efficiency, overall safeguarding the future of Princetown. The strategic capital investments, a return on your investment. The residents are investing their time, the money in us. Our return should be the financial stewardship of the town. I try to look at this as I said in the past, that I look at this, I try to analyze or relate this to, your house or my house. You've always got to be aware of it. You always got to be planning ahead, hopefully 4 or 5 years ahead. Whether you need a new roof, whether you're going to need a new car, you're always planning for your, for the town and for your home. And that's what I try to look at when I'm doing my planning here, and hopefully the town board is like, so what's good for the town, what's good for the house going forward? As you'll see, in 2013 we made some great progress, and we actually expect some additional significant progress into 2014. For the past 3 years, we've really worked on reducing spending, looking at the efficiencies. What we want to do now is continue to focus there, but now I'm asking the town board and myself to start, we need to start looking at planning. You know, we need to plan, 3 to 5 years out. Overall, we know that cutting spending is not the overall answer. It was good that we reduced spending, that we increased efficiencies, we found some redundancies. Some of the programs we're going to be talking about soon, we'll just continue to highlight. We expect to bear some additional fruit of our analysis into this year, so hopefully next year's State of the Town will again highlight some additional efficiencies and cost reductions. So those are in place this year. Obviously I don't have the data to back it up, but I'm feeling very confident that we'll be able to, again, cut additional costs. But I do need to highlight that cutting spending is not necessarily the end all. You have to invest in the town. You have to invest, again, back to your house. If you need a new car, you have to invest and you have to plan for it. If you need a new roof, you have to invest and you have to plan for it. It's just the maintenance of the town, the operations of the town. So just to move on to the last point, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've analyzed, we've defined the areas of concerns, we've implemented change to drive the efficiencies, which are now showing some fruit, and that's where we're going. One piece that I'm going to be asking the board and myself to look, and we're starting to feel the effects, and we'll touch on it a bit more, is we're starting to feel some of the unfunded federal, state, and county mandates that we need to be focused on. So as I don't want to say we feared, but when we first came into office, that's what we feared, that they're going to continue to push down to the local levels. We are now feeling some of that pressure. The 5-year comparison, again, this is kind of the same as we did last year. I changed it a little bit, so I'm going to step up here for a second. You have the fund equity, end of year, fund equity start, the revenues and the expenditures. So as you can see, over the last couple of years, our revenues have gone down. Again, this year our revenues have gone down. We continue to reduce expenditures. This year we went up a little bit, and we'll talk about them. But what was important is the end of year from last year, we were at 323, or 2012, sorry. And then starting January 1st, we started at 323, the same number. But even with at the end of the year, we still increased our fund equity by, 25,000, 20,000. Even though our spending did go up a little bit. And we'll focus on some of those concerns. But a lot of this, again, is important that the town board had taken the time to analyze the data, make the changes where necessary. Again, some of the cost efficiencies we've driven into the processes. The revenues is going to be something I'm going to be asking the board to focus on. Again, we're okay. This number could actually have been a great deal higher, and we'll touch on it. We could have been actually closer to 50 grand. But so over the last 2 years, we went from end of year 268,000. So in 2 years, with the board's help, we've increased this by $80,000. So great work by the board. Okay. Our cash and savings. We've gone up again. We talked about the equity fund, and just let me touch base in case everybody doesn't, in the past, what an equity fund is. Our equity fund is like your checkbook. It's the balance in your checkbook. It goes up and down every month. So in December 31st, you may have $1,000 in your checkbook, and then January 1st, you're still going to have $1,000. But as you plan to build and fix your house, maintain your house, you're gonna have to put a new roof on, or you're gonna have to buy a new car. The assumption is that you're gonna have a job for 12 months, and revenues are gonna come in, and you're gonna pay your National Grid bills and your doctor bills and everything. So the fund equity, again, is like your checkbook balance. It's gonna go up and down, but there's an assumption that you will continue to contribute to it. So it's the same way with the town. It's our checkbook. We expect to see, the county giving us our taxes, our land taxes. We expect to see other fees and revenues come in, and this is why it's important. But just like your own checkbook, your personal checkbook, if you started with $1,000 on January 1st, and assuming a normal year of buy, spend, pay your bills, at the end of the year you ended up with $1,500, you probably did pretty good. So that's what the fund equity is. Again, and fund equity end of the year. A couple of other savings programs we got. Again, no major differences. Just like everybody's savings account, I'm sure like 1% or 0.5%, nothing huge. The appropriated fund balance. This is a term, and it's in this process. But again, it's like investing in your car. You understand, if you did your financials for the year and you laid it all out, that you know you're going to have to buy a car for $20,000. Now, although you don't have it in your checkbook on January 1st, you do understand that over the year you're going to be able to have enough money in there. So how we build our budgets, we estimated that we're going to get some funds in, but to balance the book at the kickoff of the year, and to fund some of our appropriations, we build this fund balance. So it's just kind of a term, but it's a process to build the budgets with. And then you'll see a little bit of total savings in cash. We did drop down a little bit, but the reason we jumped from here to here is we received the FEMA funding for the Norman skill. In the 2011-2012 timeframe, which increased our total savings account. This year, we paid it out. So there was the drop in our funding, in our total savings account. So it's actually one of our accomplishments that we finished the Norman skill, but it did affect our, it wasn't really our money, but we were holding it for a little while. So. A pie chart of our general funds actuals. So this is just a percentage, a breakout, a picture, if you like at it, of where our funds went for 2013. So about 42% of our payroll, of our expenditures went to payroll, $2,000 in equipment, about 21% into buildings and supplies, 63,000 went into legal, which is, I can talk to in a few minutes, it's above what we estimated. 66,000 in benefits, and then highway, which is about 12%. So that's where we spent our money last year, at a higher level. But those are, the six categories. Okay. I broke out the 2014 general fund. So this is how we budgeted your money this year. I want to highlight again, it's your money. Payroll again. So payroll. And on the back, there's probably in the charts. Payroll actually reduced this year, so payroll went actually 220 to 239. So it's 37% of our overall budget. Equipment, building supplies, legal fees, benefits. The biggest significance is the highway. So we increased our appropriations for highway. As I've been working with the board, our highway, we have at least 2 roads that are in need of repair. So we tried to appropriate, some money this year to make the repairs. Whether we'll be able to execute both roads this year or not is still a work in progress. I'm going to touch base on the our water fund, our water department. Again, a quick status and then financials. Excuse me. In 2013, so these are some of the accomplishments that George accomplished. We replaced the pump drive at well 2. We built a place called chlorine pumps, replace the fire pump on Down Road. We had a problem on Route 7, so we had to encase it in cement. Replace the separator on Settlesville Road. As we all remember, hopefully, we had a corporal report done a couple of years ago to understand what the issue was and why some of our bolts and hardware in the main district were rusting out. So George has been proactively setting aside some money, and then when he has the time, he's going to start replacing some of the saddle tees and valves that were rusting out. So he got 8 of them done last year, and then we had 3 breaks on Route 7 during the year. So in 2013, George and the Water Department spent about $55,000 in repairs and preventive maintenance for the Water Department. 2014, some of these are planned repairs, so this is probably a great example of what I'm hoping the town board and, hopefully my help, as we indicated, if this was your house, you need to start planning your repairs, whether it's the first year, 3 years out, 5 years out. You need to start laying out our plans of where we're going and what we're going to be doing. Again, some proactive planning. So a couple of the tasks that George has highlighted is the tank inspections. So that action's complete. Rebuilding 4 pressure reducing valves this month. Cleaning the screen on well number 1. Dower Road Rooter Drive tank repair. It's called a 4-corner leak. But George confirmed that tonight that's scheduled for June 10th. He's got to get like a 200-foot lift to get people up to the top and drop them inside. Dow Road, we're going to plan to replace the fire pump motor, and then again, as time and everything allows them to go ahead with continued maintenance on the preventive replacement of the saddle tees and valves. So, what the town board and the water department have appropriated is about $75,000 in repairs for this year. Again, this is probably the most critical resource in town is the water. So it's so critical that we take care of it, we maintain it, continue to plan for it. Again, 3 years, 5 years, next year, and then support it. The clean water is just I think it's just a right of everyone. Some of the water budgets. So, kind of reads the same as the general fund budget. As you know, the water department is its own tax district, so it looks the same, acts the same. It's just actually separate, completely separate budget. 2 pieces I want to highlight is that because we refunded the bonds last year, in case anybody actually goes onto the website or goes to the controller's website, you're going to look at the revenue for the town, the expenditures for the town, and go, holy cow, where'd that come from? But I just want to highlight that that's because of the refinancing of the bonds. So, for the controllers and the auditors, that's the way it's got to be recorded. But I asked Isla to back out what the refunding budget numbers were, and these were the actual revenues and expenditures for the water department. So. Great job by George in the water department. Okay. As you know, it was after the last day of the town. We probably put in a couple of newsletters and everything. I just wanted to touch base on this real quick. We did refund the water bonds. This was, hopefully good news for the residents. We realize it was your debt, it's pass-through debt, but you probably couldn't have redone it. The board jumped in and gave everybody a hand. I think it's a great idea. It was successful. You can see the reduced rates, the 2013 rate, the 2014 rate. And I put some examples in here. So these rates are based on $1,000. So I put the example in there of $100,000 assessed value. So if your house is within the neighborhood, you can kind of figure out where you are, or do the math. But those are the new rates for for the water districts. I want to take a few minutes to review the goals we had set last year. It's actually for a couple of years, but general code, it's been reviewed, it's been updated, and we are in the process of submitting it to general code for codification. So great work again by the teams, in particular Heather. It was a great amount of work. It was a great effort. The solar was completed. I thought I would have some charts on the solar, but they just came today. I didn't have time to put them in there and review, just review them for completeness. So I got some rates. I will make it, a priority for either the June meeting or the July meeting to actually put some charts up to show what our savings have been in the as far as solar goes. But just real quick, I'm sure, speaking for myself, we were all very sensitive to the national grid bills as they came through in January, February, March, and April. Some of them were just staggering, but so it was a good thing, good timing for solar. But so the solar's complete. We actually got the closing documents today, not the closing documents, it's called the red lines or the as-bills. So they came today, and I got a spreadsheet. I just need to look at it and do some comparison, and then we'll put some charts up to show some of the savings we've managed to get in the first 9 months, because it really went online probably last August. So. We missed the high point of the year, but anyway, I'll present to it. The comprehensive plan we completed, great effort by the committee. It was again democracy in action. A very diverse committee, with some ideas, but we got it through. It was completed, so great effort. I think the last one was in 1986 or so, 89. So, great effort by the committee. The Norman Skill work is completed. That goes back to Hurricane Irene. It's actually an engineered solution. So if you actually can go down to where and look over the banks where the work was done, it's actually pretty amazing now when the water's, even in high waters coming down, you can see the engineers because it's actually pushing the water back out into the stream and not eating into the bank. So. So the Norman Skill is complete. Time Warner cable. About this time of year, last year, we were moving from Princetown cable to Time Warner cable. And then last month, Time Warner announced that Comcast bought them. So one piece that's coming up is the Princetown contract with the town was, I think, due in 2015. So the town board should see that soon, I'm assuming. And the good thing is we got Mike Quavis working with us, who's gone to battle with Time Warner. So we should have the ability to renegotiate some of the contracts, even though it's going to be Comcast and we're just Princetown. We do have the opportunity to look at a new contract. The only piece that didn't quite make it was the Schenectady County Sheriff. We had high hopes that they would move their western Schenectady County operations into the town. Basically, the plan's been canceled. I don't think the county's looking to put a substation out in western Schenectady County, so it would have been a great asset to have them co-located here with the state police right next door, but we'll try again maybe soon. Okay. Just to go back on the 2013 goals, I did put some of the reviews on the backup. So there's some additional charts in the back just to walk through what we established last year and a quick status on them, but they're all in the backup charts, so it's there for additional review. Thank you. Some of the challenges we're faced with this year. So on December 29th, I'm sure everybody's acutely aware, the then re-elected town clerk resigned. So it was Sunday night. We were 2 days away from the new year. We asked Sandy fortune to jump in. As you know, Sandy had run, so Sandy jumped in to give us a hand. We got a bunch of the volunteers, which is such a great thing for this town that we call upon a bunch of volunteers. Well, we noticed when we came in on the 12/30 or December 30th, was the tax bills hadn't gone out. But again, we managed to rally some volunteers. We bought a couple pizzas. We folded and stuffed envelopes all day. Got them out in the mail. It was a great effort. And again, I want to thank Sandy for jumping in and giving us a hand on that, and Mary Sue, and really all the staff for not only for that event, but to get Sandy up and running, especially when you hit January 1st, it's tax season. You know, the windows, there's a line outside the window. So that's a whole great story. I'll expand on it a little bit more. The court, we had a new court, and now we have a new justice too. And a new court clerk. You know, Will Reynolds had an unfortunate situation. He promptly resigned and allowed us to move forward. So, you know, whatever the situation is, it was, but he resigned. He allowed the town to move forward. You know, we elected or appointed Mr. Norm Miller as the justice. He's in training now. As I noted before, the Rotterdam justices had jumped in to give us a hand. They're rotating weeks, and now they've taken Judge Miller under their wing, and are bringing him along. He's got his books. He's going for his classes and certifications. So hopefully Judge Miller will be on the bench by himself very shortly. One of the shining stars is actually Rebecca Sheehan. She's the new court clerk. So a young girl going to school full time. You know, she takes a cab over here every day to do the work. The challenge on January 1st was basically those offices were empty. There's no computers, no pencils, no papers, and nothing. They're empty. So, you know, we got the computers up. We got staff. The technology piece, which is, you know, the integration of our office, our court, with the Office of Court Administration, all the subsystems and integrated systems, really it was Rebecca that led the way. So it was a great effort by Rebecca Sheehan. She continues to lead the charge. No disrespect to our new judge, but I'm pretty sure we know who the boss is. on the other side of the wall there. But I can't say enough. She's taken the work on that was really, you know, for a new hire. And we are just about caught up. Another week, couple weeks, we will be caught up, and everything should be running very smooth. So again, kudos to the court, in particular. Well, good luck to Judge Miller, and then of course Rebecca. She's done a great job along with Sandy, and everybody else has jumped into the mix here. Code enforcement, you know, our code enforcement officer resigned. You know, we are working on some resumes. We've interviewed new applicants, many of them are qualified. You know, ideally we want to hold for someone who's certified, because there's a lot of people now, especially winter or spring is breaking or has broken, that are ready to get their permits issued and get their project moving forward. So, you know, we're still looking, but and then our next challenge is going to be, again, I think I mentioned this a little bit before, is our state and county mandates. Some of them are starting to, again, push down. One of the examples, although we've been able to absorb it, is the unified communication system. So I'm sure everybody's read the papers, you know, and technology-wise, it's actually a great idea. A single point of contact for anybody in Schenectady County to pick up the phone and dial 911. Instead of all these, you know, Rotterdam having their own PSAP and Glenville having their own PSAP. So from a technology perspective, it's a great idea. The challenge is, and especially for towns like Princetown and Dwaynesburg, is we've never had to pay before. But now, this is a county mandate, and now we're pushing at it, pushing it down to us. So this year is a direct cost to the town of about $8,000, which we've appropriated. So we're able to absorb it because, we've made some, cost-cutting efficiencies or gained efficiencies and stuff. But this is just one of the examples where the state, county, and the federal are going to continue to push their programs down to us. Again, the unified communication is that it was probably great for Rotterdam, great for Glenville, saved them a bunch of money, but it's not saving, it's actually costing us. So this is some of the challenges that the town board, or the town, is actually facing in the near term. And we've overcome some of them, but okay. So future plans. So some of our, from our lessons learned, over the last 2 years, some of the analysis we've been able to find, as we indicated a little earlier, we analyzed, we made some changes, we've, captured those efficiencies, we saved some costs. That program is still in effect this year, and again, we really hope to see the final fruits of that labor and program in next year's, at the end of this year, and we'll be able to show it next year. There's some examples I can go into a little bit later on, but it's now time for the town to start moving and changing the direction. So where are we going and what are we planning to do? One of the biggest pieces here is the capital improvement plan. This should be coordinated with the action plan that the comprehensive plan put together, a 5-year strategic plan, and then the result of all this is a capital improvement plan. Some of the areas we need to work on or focus on, especially for the 5 years, again, the highway, which is our roads, obviously. Water, George has got a great thing going. He's already laying a lot of that out. The building, not only this building and with the state police, I know Lou's, he's got his eyes focused on that. The technology infrastructure, with Loretta's guidance, and some additional volunteers, we're starting to put together RFPs and looking at our technology infrastructure. Technology's not going to go away. It's here. It's here. It's everyday life. We just need to try to manage it as best we can and as efficiently as we can. Again, looking at a 3 and a 5-year plan. What to invest in? What can we get away with not having? I know I've talked about stuff, but the challenge now is to build a plan to fund this work. That will be the challenge for the upcoming budget season. So we're going to be moving our focus from what we've analyzed and delivered, and now over the next few months is to work with the board and the teams to look at the capital improvement strategic plan in alignment with the comprehensive action. Okay. Some additional actions. We have a hazard mitigation committee. It's been, I don't want to say a lower priority, but we did have some other priorities up to the beginning, from the first of the year to now. So the hazard mitigation is a committee that's going to integrate some of our policies and procedures with the counties. I would like to see, once that work is done and that integration is done, to expand it to include a town emergency planning. A quick thought on that is, for example, maybe we can find a diesel engine and put a diesel engine out here, and then if there's a power loss from a storm or whatever it would be, that we could open up town hall, start the generators up, and then call in our senior citizens or our people who are affected and say, hey, town hall's open, it's got lights, we've got heat, come on in. What I'm envisioning here is to see our town emergency plan, have some kind of communications to our residents, especially the seniors. Integrate some of this emergency planning with the fire departments, who we know have already have some plans. So this is one of the plans I'd like to see moving forward is, finish our integration with the county and start our own emergency planning response, whether it's, again, by email, text, Twitter, or whatever the means would be. Records management. So with Loretta's leadership and the Records Advisory Board, so we're moving forward and updating our policy since the 1980s. Why is this important? It's important because, as everybody can, hopefully very aware, is that most of our communications now are done electronically. Email, everything's done on Word, everything's stored on computers, servers, etc., on the cloud. So it's important that we update our policy to reflect, to 2014, and again, a 5-year plan going out. This is the way the state's recommending. On the last Association of Towns magazine pages, planning for the cloud. Process development and documentation. Again, a little more expansion on the management, but we want to continue to document our processes and our documentation support. Again, one of the biggest reasons we want to do this is that for a couple reasons. That A, we can hopefully, now we have documented the procedures and jobs of the town, is to maybe gain some additional efficiencies. But also, in case, as we experienced in the first of the year, if there's a major turnover in an office for whatever reason, that we've got some documented procedures. So we just got to go open a book and go, okay, well, this is how you do this is how you pay taxes to the county. This is the things we need to do. So again, we're asking Loretta to spearhead that effort. Engage the comprehensive plan on the action list, and this item, the next one, should have actually been number 1. This is probably the main focus that we, the board, the town, need to focus on, is finding additional revenues, additional revenue sources for the town. For example, grants. We're hoping that we can build a committee for grant writing, get some lessons on how to go out and research for grants. But this is our biggest challenge now, coming up with finding additional revenues. We can only cut so much before it becomes ineffective and starts affecting the services of the town. We've been successful in cutting costs and finding efficiencies while preserving, if not increasing, our services to the town. With everything that's happened in the last 2 years, especially January 1st here, basically this town didn't miss a beat. Not one beat. The court kept going, the town clerk's office kept going, we kept going, this town kept going, and we actually probably kept out of the papers for the most part, which is, I'm sure everybody's impressed by that. But the next focus has got to be the revenue. When you go back through your charts, again, look at the revenues. The revenues from 4 or 5 years ago have consistently gone down. And again, there's a number of reasons why, and there's some backup charts, but it's got to be the focus of the town. We need to find some additional revenues. We cannot rely on traditional revenue sources as we did in the past. So, through my fault, that should actually have been the number 1 action item for the town, or for the board and the town and staff. So again, hopefully the next month or two, we'll develop a grant writing committee. We'll all learn how to write and research grant writing, research grants, and then learn how to write grants and start making applications. Because at this point, it's probably our number 1 and quickest way to some revenues. Some additional highlights. We talked about the openness and transparency. I just think it's so key that we, the town board, continue to be as transparent as possible. So We've been adding action register to the back of all the agendas, so they're all on the website. So you can be able to go to the action register and follow along what new actions will be going on, what actions are, what's been updated on those actions. I try to update it like once every 2 weeks or so. So I'm hoping, again, by using the action register, we communicate to the town, what the town board is doing, what the staffs are doing, what the committees are all doing, what we're working for. Again, it's just a matter of trying to be as transparent as possible with the town. And we've also started adding abstracts to the back of the town board agendas. The abstracts for the folks who may not understand what they are. We pay our bills. Usually there's 3 funds. There's a general fund, water, and then highway. And then every bill that comes in, we attach it to a voucher, and then a bunch of vouchers actually add up to an abstract. So we've been trying to attach the abstracts to the back of the town board meeting agenda. So again, the town can understand exactly what we're paying our bills on. If it's National Grid, if it's the guys washing and waxing the floors. Again, it's just a matter of trying to be as transparent about what we're doing and how we're spending your money. Some of the agendas are getting a little bit long. It's probably sort of like my town board meetings, getting a little bit long, but I just think it's critical that, for a town our size, we can communicate this stuff to everybody. We finished the dog enumeration, so that was a good effort by Darla and Mary Sue and actually the last year's town clerk's office. It was successful. We picked up another 30% of dogs to be licensed. We actually, invested some money in the process, and we actually came out in a positive. Not that it's a business, but it's good to invest, effort into programs that are going to have a return on the investment. So we actually expect, some additional revenues coming in every year, hopefully with everybody keeping their licenses updated. The Civic Committee, again, we're going to have family night. I know Mary Sue and the committee are meeting every couple of weeks, they've got some activities going on. I do, if people are looking to join the town, the Civic Committee is a great place to meet new people, meet new friends, and join some of the activities in town. So the Civic Committee is a great bunch of people, a great place to meet new friends, and then participate in the government. Although they're not technically the government, you can get a flavor, a little bit of what our government is doing. God bless you. PIAC, again, led by Carl Barta. We had another Earth Day, which is our recycling day. We had the tree giveaway, so kudos again to Carl and the PIAC committee. Another successful event. Okay. So at this point, I'd like to start wrapping up. A couple of points that, again, I and hopefully the town board and the town are committed to. Again, it's open and transparent government. It's the right thing to do. It may be, again, time consuming, so this may be a little bit talkative on town board meetings, but I think it's just critically important that we're being open and transparent. Everyone understands exactly what we're doing. Again, the fiscal management and planning, I think that's critical. We've been very successful in the last 2 years at stabilizing our financials. We've defined it, we've managed short-term spending, we've got it under control. As you can see, even though the revenues dropped, our cost cutting had also dropped. And we were able to absorb some of the mandates by the counties, but that can only go so far. But again, we continue to focus on that. We expect to find some additional fruits of that labor for next year's next year's State of the Town. The more involvement, better representation in government. I encourage the residents to become more involved. For a town our size, it's just a great way to become involved, not only in local government, in a democratic process, but to also understand, what is it the town does. Now that I've had my 3rd year into government, and every day is a learning experience. Make no mistake about it. I learn every single day. But there's a lot of things that you just didn't know, or I didn't know when I first came in the door. But it's a great town. It's a great staff to work with. It's a great board to work with. Great volunteers, great committees. Again, the spectrum of diversity is great. But what's more important is the more representation, especially for the volunteers, is it's going to save the town money. I mean, if you can come in and put in a couple hours, great. It's going to save the town from hiring somebody to do the work. At the end of the day, the work has to get done. It really does. But again, if we can lean on some volunteers to do some work, that's great. One of the examples was, well, 2 examples was getting the town clerk's office back up after, the first of the year, getting the tax bills out. So, at 2,000 tax bills went up, we got 10 or 15 people. We bought a pizza, got a couple sodas, and came in and folded and stuffed envelopes, and they went out on the 3rd. The town newsletter is the same way. We come in, the articles are all written, we print them up, we fold them, we stamp them, we do the whole thing. Again, it's the cost of a pizza instead of sending this out for for somebody else to do it. So again, more involvement and from the volunteers and committee and the community is great. Especially and finally is the democratic process. It's so important that the more people come in and express their views, whether it's the town board meetings, whether it's volunteering for committees, whether it's to sit and listen to committees. Most of our committees are open to, suggestions and talking. We're not that big a town, but the contributions actually end up giving the town a better product. It really does. It comes down to, it's like, if you got 5 people doing, a project, or you can have 25 people doing a project. If 25 people are inputting to the project, it's going to go faster and it's going to be more representative of the broader scale and the diversity. So, we're looking for some more help, folks, if you can. And then finally, thank you, especially to some key members over the year here who contributed a ton of time and a ton of effort to everything. And this includes the staff, and the staff has stepped way up. All the committees that do all the work, all the volunteers that come in and help us out. Again, I can't say thank you enough. It's a pleasure to work with you. It's a pleasure to sit and talk with you. More important, we're working, but that's just me. So again, thank you to the staff and to everyone. So hopefully I didn't eat up too much of your time, but if anybody's got any questions, again, there's some additional backups in the presentation or in all your handouts. Some of the status from last year's goals, some additional financials. So I'll open up the floor to questions. Either I put you to sleep or is it possible, quick box?
Good presentation.
Very good. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, with that, we'll thank you for this year's attending the meeting. And if you have any questions, my contact information is on 2 charts back. You got my email address, my phone numbers. I'm in the phone book if you want to call the house. So I'm open for any calls. Thanks, everybody.